One of our new products that we've been spending a lot of time and money on developing and testing is our new Needham Ag Seed Boot. We've basically taken an existing seed boot and modified it in a number of ways. And one of the ways that we've modified it is we've improved the boot attachment points by where it mounts to the single disc opener. We've basically widened these and changed these and basically increased the whole of the size and the rigidity at the top to incorporate our bushing system. Our bushing system basically composes of a pair of hardened stainless steel bushings that basically insert into a 5/8 hole in both sides of the seed boot at the top. So basically when you install the seed boot on a John Deere single disc opener, you pull in these two bushings tight against the arm with a grade 9 bolt. So no drilling is required for installation. So you basically pull in these two bushings tight against the arm, and then the boot essentially pivots on the bushings away from and towards the disc. Okay, so we've got these bushings and this mounting attachment patented. It's a really good system. It works very well, and what it does is it eliminates almost all of the up-down seed boot movement that you especially see on some older John Deere drills, especially some of the ones that are 5, 10 or 15 years old or older, okay? Because the mounting holes that the boot attaches to become egg-shaped and the boot starts doing this, and before you know it, it changes the trajectory of the seed. Then you get a lot of seeds on top of the ground. So especially if you're planting shallow, especially cover crops planted shallow, this boot needs to be held rigid to position all of the seeds in the seed slot. Then on the back of the seed boot, we've got our vanilla seed tab, which is a more rigid tab than the OEM tabs, in addition to a lot of the aftermarket tabs, to hold the seeds down into the bottom of the seed slot so the firming wheel can press them into moisture to get uniform emergence. So we've got a number of improvements for the John Deere single disc opener. We've got our Ingersoll disc blades that are significantly sharper than the OEM blades, that cut better, reduce hairpin, and especially in harder soils and heavier residue. Alongside the disc, we've got our stainless steel seed brakes, which are used on air seeders to help vent the majority of the air. So your air seeder basically turns into a box drill and the seeds fall to the ground by gravity rather than blowing the seeds out, which is frequently a problem in some of the larger air seeders, especially growers that should and need to be put in dry fertilizer in the row, such as phosphate, because when you start turning the fan up, the volume of air can blow some of the seeds out in addition to some of the fertilizer out. So a stainless perforated seed brake is a tool which significantly helps seeds being blown out. We've got our narrow gauge wheel, which is significantly narrower than the factory ones. It avoids less residue, which is most beneficial when you're planting, when you're no-tilling directly into crops like corn stalks. We've got our V8 firming wheel, a narrower wheel than the OEM wheel to press what we call lock seeds down into the bottom of the seed slot. And then at the back, this is the Martin 20-point crumbler wheel, a better closing wheel than the factory wheels, especially in high residue no-till conditions. Some of the most popular products we have include the multi-rate stream bars. So this is a multi-rate stream bar that we sell. This is for 20-inch spacing. This is for 15-inch spacing. And both of these clip onto booms with 20-inch or 15-inch spacing. And they're basically designed to deliver liquid fertilizers like liquid nitrogen or liquid nitrogen with sulfur that we often use in wheat crops. So you're basically delivering liquid fertilizer in 4 streams down into a growing wheat crop. The benefits are obviously the improved accuracy. You know, over time there's still a lot of producers using spinning disc fertilizer spreaders, which often struggle from a point of view of uniform distribution, especially in high winds with lighter products like urea. So most guys have a large high capacity sprayer, or at least a sprayer, and these stream bars can be mounted to the sprayer to deliver nitrogen evenly, consistently and uniformly down into a growing wheat crop with minimal leaf scorch, because you're basically dribbling streams down into the crop. So these are some of our most popular products. So some of the products that give fast payback, or I'm going to suggest the fastest payback, if we're talking about planting of crops like corn, especially for no-tilling corn into corn or no-tilling corn into soybeans, one of the products that gives very fast payback is a well-configured and adjusted floating row cleaner. So we have the Martin floating row cleaner, with depth bands, with scrapers on the inside to help eject residue, and behind the row cleaner we have what we call the UMO 100 Martin fertilizer opener, which basically places a band of fertilizer at 1, 2 or 3 inch intervals away from a seed slot, slightly above, even with or below seeding depth. So we're basically clearing residue to warm the soil, then we're placing fertilizer in a band consistently to give good and safe separation away from the seeds. So this whole concept of moving residue to warm soil and placing nutrients alongside the soil, alongside the row in a no-till system is very important to give fast payback. So we're obviously here at the National No-Till Conference. This has been a good event for us. It always brings in a very good group of very innovative and forward-thinking farmers. And no-till is really important for farming, for agriculture in general. Just a couple of weeks ago, where I live, we had 9 or 10 inches of rain, and some areas across the US that I work, we don't get 9 or 10 inches, it seems, on an annual basis, but we got 9 or 10 inches of rain over a 2-day period. Any fields without good residue cover had severe erosion. Any fields that were worked deep with chisel plows lost a huge amount of topsoil. The brown soil was just washing off the fields. Compared to fields that were in no-till, especially those fields that were in no-till with a cover crop, there was very little to no soil moving off the field. The water was almost clear. So from a sustainability perspective, we're a firm believer in no-till, but it takes a lot of good and active and sound management to be able to no-till into high residue and cover crops. And that's some of the products that we provide.